Hello, I'm Brita, web mistress of the dark. Today I'm going to show you how to make my brittle bones. They're delicious little fat-free meringue cookies that are in the shape of bones. The wonderful crunchy texture, just like ancient bones that have been in a graveyard for a long time. So this is meringue. So first you'll need 3 egg whites. I've separated them already, so I'm all ready to go. We have also sugar, cream of tartar, salt, and vanilla for flavor. So first put the egg whites in. Make sure there's no egg yolk at all because any egg yolk is going to prevent this from foaming properly. First I'm going to add the cream of tartar to the egg whites so I can actually add that to stabilize the foam. Then I'll add the sugar in gradually. So cream of tartar goes in first, and then I'll go ahead and blend that to make sure it's thoroughly blended before I add the sugar in. Okay, no lumps of cream of tartar left, so now we can start adding the sugar. Now, when you add the sugar to the foam, make sure you add it gradually. If you add all your sugar at once, what you're going to do is destabilize your foam and then you don't have meringue anymore. So I'm going to get it to a little fluffier for eggs first, and then I'll add the sugar. Here we have the eggs and the cream of tartar nice and fluffy together, so now is the time to start adding the sugar. Add the salt when it's at the frothy stage. Now that the egg whites and the cream of tartar are nice and fluffy, they're stabilized enough that I can start adding the sugar little by little. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon or 2 of sugar at a time, and then go ahead and go back to mixing. You don't have to wait too long in between each little dump of sugar. You just want to make sure that it's completely incorporated into the foam. You can see now it's not only shinier because all the sugar has been incorporated into the foam, but it's also standing almost in nice peaks. Just a little bit floppy, which is perfect for meringue because we're going to bake this and that's when it's going to set the foam into the permanent shape. So this is about ready to add our vanilla, and then we'll be set to go. Okay, we have all the egg whites and the cream of tartar, salt, and the sugar has been gradually added in, and now it's standing up, and it's also, you'll see it's actually a lot shinier than royal icing would be or other egg white and sugar combinations. That's because of the granulated sugar as well as beating it a long time together. So now we're ready to add the vanilla. Add that last, just give it a little bit of flavor. And we'll mix that in. Now we're ready to put it in a piping bag so we can actually make it into bones. Here I have a piping bag all ready to go with a medium round tip. Instead of a fine tip like I usually use for writing or for piping the spiders, I have a bigger tip so more icing will come out to make the bone shape. So I've cupped my bag, hopefully to make less of a mess, and I'm just going to spoon as much of the meringue as I can into the bag, getting it as close to the tip as I can. And I don't think I can usually fit a whole batch in one piping bag. If you do that, it's kind of hard to hold it and control it properly. The meringue won't dry out like the royal icing will. It needs to be baked before it will set into being crunchy. So that's probably enough to start with. So uncuff your bag, squeeze it down just like you're working with anything else you've ever put in a piping bag, frosting or anything else. Twist it off, and now you're ready to start piping your bones. I like making all my bones consistent. I can get into a rhythm and crank them out just like the same. I like to make them about finger bone size. They're nice and small portions, and then you have a whole lot of bones. It's very impressive on a plate. So what I do first is I make a little like backwards C, still going, I go across, and then I go up and make a forward C. So I kind of have a little knot at the end of each bone. And it's a very shallow C. You want it to look more like the knobby end of a bone than too much like a Y or a C. I like making sure that they attach to the length of the bone on the opposite corners, but you can pipe your bones however you like. And you can see that once you get the hang of it, you can start going pretty quickly and fill up an entire cookie sheet. You don't have to worry about the spacing because the meringue is not going to enlarge when it bakes. It's going to stay the exact same shape that you pipe it right here. So you can put them nice and close together. Notice I'm putting them on parchment paper. You can use a paper bag, you can use a sill pad as well, but don't put them straight on a non-stick pan or you're going to find them very hard to get off. And these are fragile, they will break, that's why they're brittle bones. So being able to peel them off the parchment paper after they're done baking, it's a lot easier to deal with. Whew! That's a lot of bones, and that's just one piping bag full, and I still have enough for another bag. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my other cookie sheet, and then we'll be ready for the oven. There we go! Both cookie sheets of bones are in the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, preheated. That's a very low temperature because we're just going to set the bones into they're solid. We don't want to scorch them. They'll just barely turn a little hint of brown color on them, not anything gold brown. That will be just the perfect bone color. Put them in the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, preheated for 1 hour, which is when they will set. Leave the oven door closed and turn the heat off for another hour until everything's cool. Then your bones will be set and ready to serve or to store. Here we are. All the bones have been baked and completely cooled. I let them cool on the parchment so I can go ahead and peel them off to put on the plate. Now I'm going to put these on the plate to show you how they look. But you can keep these in an airtight container as long as it's completely airtight. Any moisture that gets in, they'll start to get soggy and sticky and they'll just end up melting. As long as they're kept airtight, I've kept them for at least a month, if not longer. So go ahead and carefully peel them. If you have one that's fighting, go ahead and lift from underneath the paper and peel it away from the bone. And if you get any that break, you can just eat the pieces. Here we have an entire silver platter full of brittle bones. This is one whole cookie sheet. I still have another cookie sheet full of bones ready for spares. So you can make these well ahead of your party. As long as you keep them away from moisture, they're fine. Even at your party, if you have them near your fog machine or the air is just a little moist, then they will start to go a little sticky and gooey and they won't be brittle anymore. I think they're delicious and crunchy. Just like old bones would be. I hope you've enjoyed watching today. For more projects and recipes like this, you can buy my book, Eerie Elegance, at eerieelegance.com. I hope you have a fabulous Halloween and happy haunting! Delicious.